everybody, my name is Evan, and this is my Cosmopolitan project for ECI 524, Theory and Research and Global Learning. For this project, I decided to interview the most cosmopolitan person that I know. This person also happens to be my wife. Caitlin and I have been married about 3 years, known each other about 6, and I'm happy to say that I learned quite a bit about her from this. Caitlin has traveled to all 48 continental U.S. states and has been to more than 20 countries, including places like Denmark, Iceland, Croatia, England, France, Morocco, Switzerland, and even Turkey. However, being well-traveled does not necessarily make a person a cosmopolitan. It certainly helps, but a person could, in theory, compensate from lack of international travel if they were to read or immerse themselves in cultural film, music, and/or the arts. In order to be a citizen of the world, or in order to have global awareness, people obviously need to have a deep understanding of international news, but it goes beyond that. It means that a person is able to make connections and to be able to situate themselves in the local, national, and global story, as well as the interactions between all three. Katie, when I asked her what she thought of cosmopolitanism, at first she sort of thought that it was this pretentious thing. By the end of the interview, she had a pretty clear working definition. She said that she thought it was being familiar and at ease with different cultures, as well as having an ability to travel to different places. Another key aspect of cosmopolitanism is in the notion of multifaceted, nuanced identity. Identity is never an easy thing. Cosmopolitans embrace this. Katie does. She says that she doesn't consider herself necessarily a citizen of the world or a citizen of America. She's equally and proud to be both. I don't have to apologize for being American when I go abroad, but that doesn't mean that I can go into different cultures without understanding or respecting their local customs. She says cosmopolitanism doesn't need to be pretentious, and it certainly has nothing to do with American exceptionalism. She says she's proud of being American, but knows that our history isn't perfect, and she embraces that. I think that is very much in line with the cosmopolitan ideal. Cosmopolitans do not abandon their sense of local pride. When I asked Katie what her local core culture was, she had a hard time with it. I'd expected her to just talk about her roots, growing up in Maryland, but she said that it was more complicated than that because her father, being from New Orleans, brought a lot of Southern culture into the house. Her mother, from Massachusetts, brought a lot of Yankee culture. That was especially interesting when she had mentioned that she consciously sought out the best aspects of both Northern and Southern culture. For instance, she learned healthy skepticism from her mom, and she learned healthy disaffection from her father. She also talked about the universality of values. She, at first, tended to agree with it, saying that she thought that most people tend to have Enlightenment values that respect difference and respect human rights. However, there were some exceptions. I asked her if she thought that we would ever be able to win over those who don't have this sort of universal value for human life. She said probably not. However, with increased exposure through dialogue and interaction, we could make progress. This definitely mirrors our discussions about sometimes we need to focus on changing habits before we change attitudes. Another thing that we had talked about was whether or not we can ever be 100% confident in our own values. And she said, of course not. And this certainly reflects the idea of cosmopolitans being fallible. But I think the final thing in terms of Katie's cosmopolitanism is seen in her heroes. Her two heroes are Eleanor Roosevelt and Jimmy Carter. These two people probably represent cosmopolitanism in America at its best. And that's all, folks. Thanks for listening. See you next time.